Hello everybody and welcome to another Mystery Box Function Challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some math and your challenge is to figure out what that math is. Because today is Friday, it's going to be particularly challenging. If you'd like to try it out on your own, there's a link you can use in the description, and when you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, let's start with a 0. 0 gives us 1. How about a 1? Okay, so that looks like a non-repeating decimal. So maybe trig, maybe square root function. How about a 2? And there we're getting not a number. So that does make me think of square root function, because that's the error we usually get when you take the square root of a negative number. I think I need some more numbers to sort this out, though. Okay, so is this just going to be not a number continuing on here? We'll just test 1 or 2 more just to make sure. I'll put 1 out of 8, maybe. Maybe we'll try in between at 6. Oh. Okay. Well, that's odd. So we have a defined area around the origin there, and then we have a defined area out at 6. Gonna need some more points on this one. Right. How about, and we did 8, and that's already undefined. Let's see if we can get a little closer to those undefined points. And how about, I don't know, maybe 5.5? Maybe 5? Well, that's odd. So I was thinking square root because they're not a number. And then, of course, the non-repeating decimals would fit with that too. But this also sort of looks like a trig function, except part of it seems not defined for some reason. So, I see, a curve here and then another curve here. It goes down and then it goes back up again. So that makes me think trig. Let's put in some trig values. What about 3.14? That's not defined. How about 3.15? How about 3.12? Okay, so it's not defined anywhere around there. I'm going to go back in the negatives a little bit. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a similar kind of shape there. And that. And if we go back to, let's say, -6, will we get something? Yes, we will. So this is a mighty strange one. So it looks like we're getting a hump and a hump and a hump. And so far, I haven't gotten any results out that are negative, which would also go with the square root function, wouldn't it? So what if we have a combination between a trig and a square root function? So, the shape that I'm able to see here, it most reminds me of cosine, because you've got this sort of periodic nature to it, curve, and then it's 1 at 0. So at 0, when the angle's pointing out here, it intersects the unit circle at the point 1, 0, and it's that cosine that's the x term. And then at pi over 2 is where cosine is 0. So let's maybe put in an approximation for pi over 2, see if we can get around there. So let's start with 1.5. And then 1.6. That's already not a number. Oh. So this whole area right here is where the cosine value would be negative. So if we're taking this, what if we're taking the square root of the cosine? Then it would not be defined for any of these values here, and then it would start being defined again when the cosine moves around and starts becoming positive again. That's really interesting. So let's think about that. So what I'm proposing is the function is, um, would it be the cosine of the square root of x or the square root of the, I think it's going to be the square root of the cosine of x. And the reason I think that is because when you evaluate this function and it turns out negative, that's where this stops um, um, being graphed and you get the not a number values. It does still fit with these values at zero, So the cosine of 0 is 1, and the square root of 1 is just going to be 1. Same thing here at basically 2 pi. You're back around the same way. These other values are going to be hard to calculate, you know, uh, in our heads. The cosine of 1 is a little tougher to figure out. This pi over 2 value would be 0. So if we got pi over 2 exactly, it should be right on the 0. And then undefined after that where it goes negative. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to test any more points here in a convenient way, but I think this is the best candidate I have to explain the behavior of the undefined areas and the behavior of the rest of the graph. So I'm going to go with cosine square root of the cosine of x. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, the square root of the cosine of x. How interesting. Let's graph this thing. If I can get the graphing to work. There it is. Huh. So it looks like little semicircles, basically. Only for those intervals where the cosine is positive. So basically on the unit circle from here to here, so that represents from here to here, you've got those positive cosine values, and that repeats again as it goes around and around the circle. Well, that was super tough. Did you get anywhere near that? If you did, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks, everybody.